Okay, but never mind. Once the spectrum is back to be able to function, then I will create it. I will inform all of you. All right. Okay, so today I'm gonna teach about. Wait, it's not recording yet. Is it recording? And recording has stopped. Okay, hold on. Wait, yeah, I can't record. Afiq Daniel. Afiq Daniel. Afiq Daniel.
Yes, sir.
I got a message here. Due to a technical problem, you will be removed. Can someone inform Afiq to join again? I'm not sure what happened. He's been removed, but ask him to join again, okay? Okay, now. Can you all see this slide? Reporting and the discussing of the quantitative findings. Boleh nampak tak?
Yes.
Alright, good. So last week is about apa ni? What should you do with the data of the qualitative and also the quantitative findings, okay, that you get from your data collection. So now is about how to report and also how to discuss the finding that you get. So reporting the result. In a quantitative finding, the first thing that you have to do in reporting the result is to report the response rate. Okay, you need to inform, okay, how many % of response did you receive. Then the next one is you need to check on the normality. Okay, either the data that you get, is it normal or non-normal, and then you need to analyze the missing data. Do you still remember how are you going to handle the missing data? Okay, there are four ways, okay, to handle the missing data. So you need to explain here. Okay, and also to convert the variable if required. Okay, and then you can start with the descriptive analysis, okay, to describe on the data that you get, and then you also need to report on the internal consistency. Okay, this is on the reliability test. Okay, the combat alpha, and then you can start to report on the test result. Okay, depending on either you're using the inferential test or even you are testing a hypothesis. Okay, this one all refer back to your objective. What is the objective of your research, and you need to present the result and also to interpret them. So in general, the content of your result section should include the following. Okay, don't just let it be all descriptive text. Okay, so please consider presenting your finding visually. Okay, because you have to take into consideration that your supervisor and your uh, assessor, okay, or the second reader, okay, they'll be reading a lot from chapter 1 to 3, and this is the time in chapter 4 where you can start to present your finding using uh, in a visual way. Okay, maybe by using a figures, photos, charts, okay, maps, table, and so on. This is one of the way to make it to make your thesis more interesting. Okay, now in reporting the result, okay, things that you need to consider is about the length. So how long? Okay. So the page length of your result section. So it will depend on the amount of and also the type of data that is need to be reported. Okay. But you need to focus on the finding that are important and related to addressing the research problem. So a short paragraph that conclude the result section by synthesizing the key finding of the study. And you need to highlight and you also need to highlight the most important findings you want readers to remember as they transition into the discussion section. So when writing the result section, please avoid the following. Okay, discussing or interpreting the result. Okay, in the result section, this is where you just present your finding. You just present your result without discussion and without any interpretation. That one is for another section or it could be in another chapter. Okay, depending on the thickness of your finding. Okay, and please don't ignore any negative result. Okay, if if some of your results fail to support your hypothesis, do not ignore them. Okay, you have to include them in and document them, and then state in your discussion section why do you get the negative result from your study. Okay, for example, your hypothesis is not supported. That's okay. Okay, but that one you can discuss in the discussion section or discussion chapter. Okay, and note that negative result and how you handle them offer you the opportunity to write a more engaging discussion section. Okay, this is something interesting actually. Okay, so don't hesitate to highlight them. And please avoid presenting the same data or repeating the same information more than once. No, don't repeat, okay? And confusing figures with table. So make sure that every table, every figures that you include in your thesis, you have to label it properly, okay? And make sure you have a sentence that direct the reader to look at the figure or table included. Okay, you don't simply just place any table, any figure in the middle of the writing without a sentence to direct the reader to look at it. Okay, you need to have a simple sentence just like table 2.3, figure 2.3 below shows what. Okay, then only the examiner, okay, your supervisor, okay, they know when to look at the table or to refer to the figure. Okay, so uh, purpose of discussion. So what is the purpose of discussion? So the main purpose of discussion is to interpret, okay, and describe the significance of your findings. And it is also to explain a new understanding or insight that emerge as a result of your study of the problem. And the discussion should clearly explain how your study advanced the reader's understanding of the research problem. So the importance of the discussion section is to demonstrate your ability as a researcher to think critically about an issue. And it is also to develop a creative solution to problem based upon a logical synthesis of the findings, and also to formulate deeper, more profound understanding of the research problem under investigation. Okay, then also to note the possible implication in other areas of study. Okay, perhaps your research may give some implication in other areas of the study, and also to explore possible improvement that can be made in order to further develop the concern of your research, and to highlight the importance of your study and how it may be able to contribute to and or help fill existing gaps in the field. So rules in writing the discussion section, okay, same as writing the finding. Okay, avoid repetition. Okay, be concise and make your points clearly. Avoid the use of jargon or undefined technical language. Okay, if you want to use jargon, okay, or certain terms, make sure you already introduce it in the literature chapter. Okay, don't suddenly in this chapter you have a new terms, new jargon. Okay, we don't want that. Okay, and follow a logical stream of thought. Okay, in general, interpret and discuss the significance of your finding in the same sequence you describe them in your result section. Okay, for example, in result section, first you start with, of course, you will start with the demographic. Okay, for those who are using what questionnaire survey. Okay, so same goes in the discussion section. Okay, you need to discuss about the demographic of your respondent first. Okay, then in your finding chapter, perhaps you have you present the finding in in let's say section 1. Okay, so in your discussion section, okay, after you explain about the demographic, you also need to discuss, okay, about on the finding on the section number 1. Okay, so use the same flow as you present your finding section. Okay, and also use the present verb tense, okay, especially for the established facts. Okay, however, refer to specific works or prior studies in the past tense. Okay, so during the discussion, okay, perhaps you need to refer, okay, to the previous literature. Okay, so this is where you start to use the past tense. And if needed, use subheading to help organize your discussion or to categorize your interpretation into themes. Okay, so the content of the discussion section. Okay, the first one will be the explanation of the result. So here you need to comment on whether or not the result were expected, okay, for each set of result. And you go into greater depth to explain findings that were unexpected or especially profound. And if appropriate, note any unusual or an unanticipated patterns or trends that emerge from your result and explain their meaning in relation to the research problem. Actually, it's gonna be very interesting when the result that you get is something different than what is being expected. And then reference to the previous research. This is either you compare your result with the finding from other studies or use the studies to support a claim. So the discussion section should relate your result to those found in other studies, particularly if questions raised from prior studies serve as motivation for your research. Okay, so it may include explanation, okay, which it can be a comparison between the result or even a comments on whether the result are expected or unexpected, and also comments about the unsatisfactory data. And this is important because comparing and contrasting the findings of other studies help to support the overall importance of your result, and it highlights how and in what ways your study differ from other research about the topic. Okay, here are the example. Okay, for example, like, okay, the problems. For example, like the problem that we're dealing with is the differences between the expected and obtained result. Okay, so the difference between the expected and obtained result may be due to the incorrect calibration of the instrument, okay, or the discrepancies, okay, that arise, okay, can contribute to the small sample size. So you have to give a logical reason for everything. Okay, and the anomaly in the observation, okay, can probably be accounted for by a defect in the camera. Okay, the lack of statistical significance is probably a consequence of a weakness in the experimental design, and also the difficulty in dating this archaeological site, okay, would seem to stem from the limited amount of organic material available and so on. Okay, the third one is deduction. This is a claim for how the result can be applied more generally. So for example, describing lesson learned, okay, proposing recommendation that can help improve a situation or even highlighting the best practice. Hypothesis, okay, this is only for those who want to test the hypothesis. A more general claim or possible conclusion arising from the result, okay, which may be proved or disproved in subsequent research. So these can be framed as a new research questions, okay, that emerge as a result of your analysis. Okay, the structure of the discussion. So think of your discussion as an inverted pyramid. Okay, so organize the discussion from the general to the specific. Okay, linking your findings to the literature, then to the theory, then to the practice if suitable. Okay, then you can begin by briefly restating the research problem you were investigating and answer all of the research questions underpinning the problem that you pose in the introduction. Then describe the patterns, okay, the principles and relationship shown by each major findings and place them in a proper perspective. So the sequence of this information is important. Okay, first state the answer, then the relevant result, okay, then cite the work of the others, okay, works from the previous researcher. And if appropriate, refer the reader to a figure or table to help enhance the interpretation of the data, okay, either within the text or as an appendix. Okay, so in discussion, also you can add in figure or table, okay, and you can add it at that particular section, or if um, it is like a few pages thick, maybe you can put it as an attachment in the appendix. So a good discussion section will include analysis of any unexpected findings. So this part of discussion should begin with a description of the unanticipated finding and followed by a brief interpretation as to why you believe it appeared and, if necessary, its possible significance in relation to the overall study. So, if more than one unexpected finding emerged during the study, so you need to describe each of them in the order they appeared as you analyze the data. And before concluding the discussion, identify potential limitations and weaknesses. So comment on their relative importance um, in relation to your overall interpretation of the result and, if necessary, note how they may affect the validity of your findings. So the discussion section should end with a concise summary of the principal implication of the finding, regardless of their significance. So give a brief explanation about why you believe the findings and conclusion of your study are important and how they support broader knowledge or understanding of the research problem. Okay, which is supporting the broader knowledge is also one of the contribution. Okay, your research contribution. So, what to avoid in writing the discussion chapter? So, do not waste time restating your result. Okay, please uh, do not repeat. Yeah, because you already present the result in the result section or chapter. Okay, so do not restate it again. Okay. So, for example, like findings suggest that access to good school is important, and also do not introduce new result in the discussion section. Any result, any finding that you get from your research, you have to explain it in the result or finding section, okay, section or chapter. Okay, you need to understand that sometimes you may have one chapter specifically for the findings only, okay, and another chapter is for the discussion. Okay, but if your finding is not that not much, okay, perhaps you can combine the two chapter. Okay, but the chapter shall begin with presenting the finding first, okay, then only another section for the discussion. Okay, this is only an example, okay, just to give you an idea, okay, on what you can write in chapter number 4. Okay, for example, this is for the finding. Okay, always every chapter will begin with introduction. Okay, and 4.1 would be the introduction. So 4.2 for the pilot study findings, if you conduct a pilot study. If not, then just exclude this part. Okay. 4.3 is the questionnaire survey findings. Okay, on the content validity. Okay, the distribution of the questionnaire, the general respondent demographic. Okay, perhaps you start with organization background, the occupation. Okay, the occupation of the respondent. Okay, and then also the number of years of their experience. Okay, maybe experience in construction. Okay, depending on your research topic. Okay, and then the statistical analysis that you conducted. Okay, this would be depending on the type of analysis that you are using. Okay, for example, this one, what I give example here is it start with the reliability test. Okay, all questionnaire will start with a reliability test. Okay, descriptive analysis. Okay, and then, okay, in this research, the researcher need to write the critical success factor. So it will be followed by the writing of the critical success factor. And then, and this research also require the researcher to identify the correlation between the factors. So another statistical analysis that we use in this research is correlation coefficient test. So this one, in 4.3.4, okay, A and B is the most common thing that you have to do for everybody who who conduct the questionnaire survey. Okay, and for C and D, This one will depend on the type of analysis that you are using, okay, based on your research aim. Okay, and then 4.4, okay, the discussion, and 4.5 would be the conclusion or the summary of the chapter. Okay, any questions? Any questions?
No, doctor.
All right. Okay, next one. Okay, next is the discussion and reporting of the qualitative findings. Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So in the discussion of your findings, it is where you have the opportunity to develop the story you found in the data. Okay, because this is qualitative. Okay, and you also need to make connection between the result of your analysis and also the existing theory and research. So you can discuss it by relating it to your research questions or even relating it to the other research, okay, to the previous research. Okay, relation to the research question. So in your discussion, you must draw together your research question and your own research result. Okay, so if your research is testing a hypothesis, so you need to answer this question. Okay, do your research findings support your initial hypothesis? Okay, you need to refer it back. If not, why? And if yes, also why? And how? How does it support or how does it does not support? And do your findings only support the hypothesis in part? Okay, maybe only partially. And also why and how? And do your finding disprove your hypothesis? Okay, why it is proof or approve and also how? So what else do your findings tell you over and above what you initially set out to investigate? Okay, in relation to the other research, so it is essential so since one of the requirement, in relation to the other research, it is essential to show how your results fit in with other work, okay, that has been done in your field. So here, that means you are comparing the result that you get and also with the result, with the finding from other researcher. So you need to point out the agreement and disagreement between your data and also the other researchers' data. So in presenting your own interpretation of the result, you need to consider the strength and weaknesses or alternative interpretation from the literature. Okay, so this is what you need to highlight. Okay, what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses? Okay, and since one of the requirements of the thesis is to make a contribution to the knowledge, so it is essential to show how your result fit, okay, with the other works. Okay, in writing your discussion, so the skill in writing a successful discussion is in moving backwards and forward between others' research and your own research. Okay, making it clear, okay, which has been done by other people, okay, and which has been done by you, and also how they can complement each other. Okay, so that means when you are discussing, you always need to refer back on what had been done, okay, between your work and also other researchers' work. So here is some technique, here is some technique to differentiate your own research from previous research in your writing. Okay, this is only suggestion, not rule. Okay, consistently use this to refer to your own research and refer to the previous research by name. place or time. Okay, for example, like, okay, this study found what? Okay, the finding of this research. Okay, but when you are referring to other people's research, okay, for example, research by Smith and Geva, so you use their name. Okay, Smith and Geva, for example, 2020 found that, or even a previous study in Belgrade. Okay, that means you are referring to the time, sorry, to the place. Okay, and make reference to similarities or differences in approach or finding. Okay, maybe a similar research carried out in the 1980s showed that. Okay, and use the present perfect tense to highlight the recent relevance of your research in comparison with earlier research, referring to it in the simple past. Okay, this study has shown a prevalence rate of 2.5, which is greater than that found by Smith and Geva in their Belgrade study, and so on. All right, this is an example, okay, of the table of content for people who are using case study. Okay, again, start with introduction, okay, and 4.2, okay, this is example for those who carry out a research using a multiple case study. Okay, organization A case study, perhaps some organization background, okay, history of system adoption, and then the analysis and discussion, and also the summary. And same goes to the other organization, which is organization B. Okay, and please remember that you are not allowed to reveal, okay, the name of the company that you interviewed, reveal the name of the interviewee. Okay, you have to make sure that you replace, okay, their identity with for example, like organization A, you can use any other names. Okay, you cannot reveal their identity. Okay, and so the content actually will depends on the information that you get. Okay, this is an only example of what you can do in writing. Okay, and finally, the conclusion for that particular chapter. All right. Okay, any questions? Ada soalan?
No, doctor.
Okay, Irma, anything nak tanya?
Tak ada, doktor.
Tak ada. Irma, you buat qualitative or quantitative?
Kuanti.
Quanti. Ada anybody buat eksperimen? Ada someone eksperimen? Tak ada. Tak ada. Semua ada apa? Conducting questionnaire, case study ada kan? Case study or even interview. Is it? Siu Ching? Siu Ching, how do you collect your data? Siu Ching? Siu Ching, tak ada. Chris Ong. Tris? Lavinia?
Yes,
How did you collect your data?
qualitative
Qualitative. Interview or case study or what?
interview.
Interview. All right. Okay, because I know perhaps all of you does not come to this part yet. Okay, because in this semester it's only for the proposal. Okay, which is more to chapter 1, 2, and 3. Okay, but in the next semester, you all need to write up the finding chapter, discussion, and also the conclusion chapter. Okay, and next week gonna be the last class. Okay, because next week I will be only touching on the writing style. Okay, I mean how to write. I'll be explaining on okay, the writing style, the formatting. Okay, how to write the abstract and also conclusion. Okay. All right. So I guess that's all for today. Since all of you also do not have any questions, and all right. So that's all for today. Thank you.
Sorry, Doctor, just now